Hi and welcome. Today I want to talk about a very important part of the process of writing, which is getting feedback or notes. Feedback and getting notes are a big part of a lot of writers. We write a draft, we know some things are not exactly how they should be, but we don't have the distance to know how to fix them. So we send it out to the world. We either hire a reader or we give our trusted friends and ask them to read the stuff. Feedback can be really useful, but it could also be a little tricky. So I'm here today to give you some advice on how to handle feedback. When we ask for feedback, the first thing, and I know it's obvious, but we have to be willing to hear it. A lot of people want feedback, but really they really want to hear, oh my God, this is so great, perfect, I have no notes. But that almost never happens. I would dare to say it never happens. So the first thing we have to do is let our guard down. We have to let our guard down when we're hearing feedback. Something that's very important is that feedback is not a binding contract. So we put our guard down and we hear these things knowing we don't have to do anything people are telling us to do. We just want to hear their impressions. You'll know when a note strikes a chord with you and when one doesn't. And I'm here to tell you that have the confidence to ignore notes that don't feel right to you. Incorporate the ones that make sense, ignore the ones that don't. Or else your story is going to become Frankenstein's monster. It's going to be someone's suggestion, someone else's suggestion. We see that in studio movies all the time, right? Films that seem written by 12 different executives and not a single person's vision. So when you're writing your own story and you get feedback, the things that feel right to you, incorporate them to your script. The things that don't, ignore them. Try not to be defensive. Try not to defend anything. Try not to be like, but this is what I was trying to do. What you should do is ask questions. You can be like, okay, I was going for this, but clearly this is not landing. Do you have any advice on how to A, B, or C? Don't be reactive. Don't be defensive. I know it's hard to not take it personally because these are personal stories, but your work is not you. People giving you feedback are not attacking you personally. Have the confidence to ignore bad notes and incorporate the good one. I'll give you an example with my own story. I was developing a play and I would have these readings with the writers group, and we would cast actors. It was a really wonderful environment back in New York City. And one day I was reading, and it was a very kind of quote unquote traditional play where it's like in real time and it's an engagement announcement, and then the unwelcome friend shows up and chaos ensues. I had this guy cast to play the part of the fiance, and I immediately judged the book by its cover. He was this guy that didn't really look right for the part. He was like, I don't know, it was hard to explain. He just didn't look like the part. He ended up reading wonderfully, and we were all going around and people were giving me notes. And this story was about a family that had a little bit of substance abuse problems. So there was a lot of drinking, there was a lot of pot smoking involved, and that was just part of this family's culture. So when it was time for feedback, one of the other writers was like, yeah, I don't really believe that this family would like smoke pot together. And that was their feedback. And I had to have the confidence to be like, thank you so much, that was wonderful, and not do anything with that piece of feedback, because I knew as a writer that was part of my story and I had to be able to ignore that. And maybe it wasn't for everyone, and that's okay. The actor that played the fiance, however, came up to me and he's like, you know what I feel? I feel like my character is the outsider. Everyone here has previously established relationships except him. So even though there's a chaotic friend, he's really the odd one out. And that piece of feedback completely opened everything up for me. It was a good piece of feedback. And I knew it. When you hear it, you know. Another thing that happens sometimes too is the note behind the note. What happens is sometimes you'll give your script to 3 different people, and 3 people are gonna, what I say flag, they're gonna flag the same little moments in your story. And they might say different things, but they're all flagging the same moment. So to wrap it up, take the good notes, ignore the bad notes, and try to understand what is the note behind the note. Why are people flagging the same part of your script over and over, even if they're saying different things? And remember, try not to take it personally, even though your work is personal, and the goal is always to tell the best story possible. Thank you.